All right, good morning, everybody. Let me get my sound in a better spot. Henry's gonna come in and tell me what I gotta fix. He always does. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Sorry, running a little bit behind. Nikki Burnett. And this is Taste Life Nutrition Radio, streaming live on kuhsdenver.com. My sound is still off. Anyway, so it's been 3 weeks, so I feel a little bit out of sorts since I've been here. But it is all good. Super excited to be back. This is our 4th year. Amazing. It's so cool to...
You're listening to kuhsdenver.com.
There we go. Something that I've stuck with for 4 years, which is awesome. Nutrition and the radio show, 2 things I've stuck with.
Love it.
Yeah. Anyway, so Taste Life Nutrition Radio, streaming live on kuhsdenver.com, where we have... music. See? Always something. Where we always want to bring in the people who are here to give, to love, to serve, and to have some freaking fun, right? I mean, that's when we can, that's really what it's all about. So we've got Casey Weiss on today. She's a holistic nutritionist, a certified holistic nutritionist, and has been doing some really cool things with her clients, and I was really excited to have her on the show. So thank you, Casey, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to have this conversation.
I know, it's so funny because it feels like it's been such a long time since we talked. I kind of
Yeah. I think when we talked also, I was pregnant and now I have like a 3-month-old. So it's crazy. Time really flies.
It does. It's amazing because it doesn't feel like it's been that long. But congratulations. How fun is that?
Thank you. Yeah. It's been a whirlwind. It's been great though.
Yeah. Is this your first?
Yes, it's my first.
Oh, yay. I love that so much. I have never been pregnant myself, but I love everything about it. I love creation. Creation is the most miraculous, beautiful, amazing thing. And I fell in love with it when I was in undergrad. And it was with animals at the time. And so I've got my master's in reproductive physiology and animal science. But it is the most beautiful thing, this gift that God gave us to create these little people. It's fascinating, right?
It really brings so much perspective. Like you think that you're mindful, you think that you're present, and then when you have a child and just like interacting with children, especially to be perfectly honest, I didn't have much experience interacting with like infants. Before. I had never changed a diaper before becoming a mom. So that gives you a little insight there. But no, it's been incredible, and I know we'll get into things about nutrition and whatnot, but I just feel really grateful for everything that I had done with my body during pregnancy in terms of keeping healthy, but also all the work I did previous to that in terms of my relationship with food and with my body. Now being a mom, I'm just seeing more than ever how important it is that I was able to create a really solid foundation there.
Oh my gosh. We're going to start in a place here in a minute where I didn't know we were going to go, because this is all the things that you're saying is like my heart. So let's do this though. Actually, you just did everything for me.
You're welcome, I guess.
It's really funny. So we always start the show with gratitude, right? Gratitude can change the world, and that's really what you just did, is you started the show with gratitude, and I love that. Is there anything that you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'm just really grateful to be in a position that I am where, I had my own struggles and was able to turn my struggles into being able to help women around the world with what I do. As I said, I'm a holistic nutritionist, and I work with women around the world to help improve their relationship with food and their body, and to be able to give them the nutrition principles and practices so they can feel their best selves. Yeah. And I'm just feel incredibly grateful to be able to do what I do.
Yeah, so good. Thank you for that. And so for me, I think for today, being 4 years in with this show, and having the ability also then to take 3 weeks off. So what we did is we left for Arkansas to see my dad. So my family, we went to Arkansas to see my dad for Christmas, which was awesome. So really grateful that we were able to do that, because it was a last minute change. It was, we're all going to Texas, the family's going to Texas, and like 2 days before, nope, we're going to Arkansas. So it's really a blessing to be able to I am comfortable with change, right? I'm comfortable with, everything I do anyway is by the seat of my pants. So and so we were able to do that. We were able to get a really great VRBO, place to stay, really helpful people, good people we worked with. Then, though, we took a road trip. My husband and I and my 3 dogs took a road trip and went then, so we had stopped in Kansas, went to Arkansas, drove to Tennessee, and spent some time in Tennessee, so from the western over to the northeastern area, and then unexpectedly decided to go into North Carolina and went into Asheville and spent some time around there.
Oh, I love Asheville. It's gorgeous.
Gosh, it is. It's so great. And, and again, by the seat of our pants, that's not what we were going to do. And we're like, okay, well, let's go, because that's where we were told was the best place to go. And the drive, and it was beautiful. And we just had a great time. It's, great people, beautiful area. I want to go back when it's not winter. I mean, we wanted to go when it was winter intentionally.
The fall foliage in those mountains, I would highly recommend.
yeah, for sure. So anyway, and then we made our way back and we were able to stop in Kansas again. So anyway, it was a good, solid, over 2 weeks. I think it was, probably 16 days, give or take, altogether. And we got here at 10 o'clock Sunday night and, jumped into work on Monday morning. So it was a heck of a ride, but it was really fun and the dogs had fun. I'm sure they would have loved to run more, but we were able to get them out and get them running and, open up. And so all of that to be said, I'm grateful for the ability to be able to do that because I was still able to work, although it was minimal. I could have worked more, but it was, I worked, I did what I needed to do, and we enjoyed each other, and we had some fun, and it was great. So, yeah, that's what I'm grateful for. So, go ahead. Sorry.
No. I was just saying it's so nice to be able to have that flexibility,
really
and to be able to be present. So,
yes.
Love that.
Agreed. So it's funny because all of the things that you said when we first started the show, the way that I typically start the show is let's hear your story, and I still want to hear your story. Mm-hmm. And I was going to talk to you like later on about your pregnancy course that you're doing. So what I've been doing also is soulful conception, and it's different than what you're doing, and I want you to talk about it. But it is all planning for pregnancy. And then not beyond that point, for me anyway. Then I would refer out to somebody for all the other stuff. But it's that epigenetic piece of planning for pregnancy, getting as healthy as you can, understanding your body, creating the healthy relationships with your surroundings, your food, your people, all of these things that are so important to creating your genetic expression to pass on for the generations. And so it was so fun, when you started it and you're talking about your experience with how you prepared your body and you're working with women to do the same thing and then on into the first, second, and third trimester, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think if it's okay with you, I would love to hear more about that and sort of your journey there. But then I also do want to get back to your where you came from, how it is that your journey inspired you to do what you're doing now, because you had a difficult experience early on, right? You had some struggles, as so many of us do, which brings us to where we are today, and it's beautiful and really hard. But if you're okay, I know that was kind of a lot, but
it all plays into each other, so I can definitely take it from here.
Perfect.
So, I mean, with my story, I struggled with various EDs for almost a decade, and it started in high school. It really came from a sense of control. Now, a lot of times, it's like there's people identify people having eating disorders because it seems like there's a lot of chaos, and then they want to control. Well, for me, I was able to control every aspect of my life. I was getting the best grades I had. I was getting school record in track. I was feeling like I could be on top of the world. So as a result, I also wanted to control food in my body. As I went on this trip, I saw girls, it was a community service trip, seeing girls not finish their plate, and I started to think, maybe I shouldn't be finishing my plate of food as well. And again, it didn't even originally come from me wanting to change my body. It was just kind of like seeing these changes I could make, starting to get comments about my body, and as a result, fueled in a negative way, went to severe restriction. But then eventually, my body could really have had enough, and hormones were all over the place, my cravings all over the place, and I was at all this struggle. I started to gain weight, a lot of inflammation, and I just really felt at war with my own body, and I just kept thinking, why can't I restrict like I once did? And I then went for years of yo-yoing, tried in all the diets and all the things, and it wasn't until I realized, like, clearly something's got to change, because the way I'm approaching this is just making me more and more miserable. And so
can I interrupt you real quick? Do you mind?
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
I love clarity. And you know, a lot of people are going to know this, but some people aren't. However, yeah. So first thing you said, ED. So there are so many different EDs at this point. There's erectile dysfunction, and there's endothelial dysfunction, and so now there's also eating disorders. So,
yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that we're clear on that. Second thing is, when you're talking about your hormones were out of whack, right? So I think so often when we talk about hormones being out of whack, we're thinking of, you know, estrogen and testosterone. And so I'm sure that that's what you were also talking about. But would you also agree, or were you also talking about like your satiety hormones and your...
It was metabolic as well as satiety,
so
and like and sex hormones.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I basically was put on the pill to, quote, get my period. And then I didn't get a real period till my mid-20s. So that is crazy. And it also goes to show, when I started to gain a considerable amount of weight because of all this flux I was doing, and it wasn't a healthy weight gain. You know what I mean? Like, I needed to gain weight at some point because of what I had put my body through. But even with that weight gain, I wasn't getting a period. So that just goes to show that sometimes they're like, oh, just gain weight and you'll get a period. Well, no, it's about more. So I really, though, as I said, like, throughout this process, realized that I was just becoming, I said, more and more miserable. My body was still not where I wanted to be. I was never feeling normal with food. Like, I couldn't go out to eat and not be so stressed. I couldn't, like, every night I was thinking about what I should be eating the next day. It was just this constant cycle, and my brain space was so occupied by food. So I eventually learned about intuitive eating and the practices and principles there, which people who are not familiar, intuitive eating is a practice of listening to your body, understanding your hunger and fullness cues, getting away from diet culture. And this really helped me to really make peace with food in my body. But in that process, I still didn't feel like I was my healthiest self. I still didn't have my period, and I just did not feel as comfortable in my body as I wanted to. So once I then entered the world of holistic nutrition, that's when really everything changed. And I worked with a practitioner who helped to utilize principles of intuitive eating, that I could listen to my body, but also giving me the education of how nutrition could really empower me and how nutrition could be a part of my life in a positive way. And from that experience, truly everything changed for me. I went and got my nutrition certifications, doing years of programs there, and then eventually started a side business of being a nutritionist, and then was able to make it my full-time job. So that, though, and all that process was when I was thinking about becoming pregnant. I was so scared, because I knew that even though I had done the work, I had this fear that it was going to be very difficult for me to get pregnant. And I then was really proactive as a result in getting my body into a place where I, first of all, nutritionally, so that I could enter pregnancy feeling good in my body. Also for, egg health and to have the healthiest baby possible, and then also from hormonal health perspective. Thing though is, and women who are trying to conceive know this, one of the worst things for becoming pregnant is having stress, and the stress that you have, you stress about getting pregnant, and there's like fuels further stress. So really working on both like the mindset as well as nutrition, and that kind of goes to the root of everything I do with the women I work with, and just in general what I practice and preach, because we can know everything about nutrition, but if we don't have the right mindset practices in place, if we're not understanding the root cause of our behaviors, our habits with food, our lifestyle, we're never going to see the results that we really crave. So that kind of got in terms of the kind of summation of that. Hopefully that answers those questions.
That's great, because it's a hard thing to understand why for a lot of people, why you feel hungry all the time, and why you don't understand why you have cravings, and why you don't understand why it's just habitual to go to the pantry or go to the refrigerator, or if you're frustrated or sad or mad or lonely, why you turn to it. And I think the thing that I like to try to explain to people and to help people, because there's so much guilt that comes along with that, whether it's controlling the eating or controlling the not eating, right? It goes both ways. And the guilt that goes along with that, and the perpetual self negativity is so difficult, and it's heartbreaking when I am talking with people who are dealing with this, and they're like, I just don't know why I'm this way. And I want to always help people take a step back, for one, and understand that this is rarely is it just because it's how you are, right? I mean, there are genetics that play in I know this because I'm one of these people. You know, genetics can play a role into having a sweet tooth. So doesn't mean it has to express, but mine certainly did. And so you work on it not, and so mine is much less now. But the point is, there are things that play roles. There are the hormones that get out of whack. You don't know hormones are out of whack. If there's an infection that's creating cravings, you don't know the infection's there. You just know that I can't control, and then I have to beat myself up because it's all my fault. When that's not the case, so often there's so many other things. You know, the body biochemistry is so fascinating and intricate and amazing and beautiful that, you know, it's taking, and you said it a few minutes ago, taking the step back and looking at the root cause. Is it mental and emotional root cause? Is it physical root cause? Which both then play into each other and create mental, and emotional can create physical, and vice versa. So, with all that being said, I think my goal really was, for those who are watching or listening, is just stop beating yourself up. There are people who know how to help you through these things, but understanding that it doesn't do any good to beat yourself up and act like you're the enemy of yourself, or that food is the enemy, when there's so many factors that play a role into everything that we're discussing.
Absolutely. And just like you brought up with the sweet tooth, I have a sweet tooth as well, but there's a difference. I used to have a sweet tooth to the point where I felt like I couldn't control it.
Yes.
So a lot of times actually having persistent sweet tooth can be a sign of high cortisol. It can also be definitely a sign of improper blood sugar balance, right? But then also there's always emotions associated with that. Right. So sometimes when we're craving sweet, what we're really craving is sweetness in life. Like, how do we need to create sweetness in life that we're trying to get via food? Right. Our cravings and their emotional root are something that we need to dive into. And a lot of times, that harder work of that emotional work, we don't want to do. We'd much rather scroll and have some Instagram tip tell us, like, this is what the drink to drink to, if you have sweet craving, this is the supplement to take, or like this is the food to eat for blood sugar balance. And like, it's awesome that there are so many fun tips out there, but the way that we consume social media, it's all of these like hot tips, hot takes, and like we're saving all these posts. But what I say is, like, with nutrition, 90% of it, of what's gonna get you 90% of the results, are the the unsexy foundations. Like, it is so what it is. Getting in whole foods, having a good balance of macronutrients, blood sugar balance, and like blood sugar balancing foods, and it's such a hot topic for good reason. But there's all these things and whatever, all these tips, and at the end of the day, it's pairing your foods properly so you're not having carbohydrates in isolation. Obviously, we can get more nuance there, but we get so into the weeds of it and get ourselves so stressed out, blaming ourselves, beating ourselves apart. What you need, there's the nutrition foundations, and then honestly, a lot of times the harder work is the emotional root cause, because what I see some people doing is they're searching for that magic answer, and the nutrition is actually not as hard as we make it out to be, but we want to keep blaming the nutrition of like, I need to do this thing, this thing, this thing. No. What you really need to do is you need to work on why is the root cause of why do you keep turning to the Ben and Jerry's at night? Why don't you have the proper boundaries? Why don't you have the other coping mechanisms? It's not a new nutrition fad diet or plan that you need. It's getting to the root of why you're turning to food in the first place.
Right. Yeah. Totally agree. And I think it's you know, it perpetuates, especially when it comes to social media stuff. But you know, even before that, you know, years and years and years prior to that, you know, I think of my mom and her yo-yo dieting and what she did. But it perpetuates the diet when we got to get away from the diet, right? I mean, I fully believe in therapeutic types of diets. There are reasons behind them, right? Mm-hmm. But to say, okay, January 1st, I'm going on a diet, is right. It is just setting us up for failure. And then there's the one that gets me. I can't help but to talk about it a little bit. But what do you do after? So we have the Whole30. I think that the you know, the idea behind it's a great idea. I think it's you know, fine. But every single time I talk to somebody, client or not, who has done the Whole30, they're like, so I finished it. Now what? And so it's very confusing. And getting back to one of the things that you said is we have taken this beautiful, most basic thing in life, which is food. Yeah. Food is, it's yes, it's sustenance, but it's amazing and it's delicious and it's beautiful and it's from God and it's all of these amazing things. It helps us to live these amazing big lives if we're eating the right foods. But we are so confused about what's right for me, what's wrong for me, why does this work for this person, why does it not work for me, why do I compare myself with everybody else, right? When we are all so beautifully unique in the way that we present to the world, the way that we utilize our food, the stuff that we're dealing with. And then of course the mental and the emotional piece of it, we're all unique there. So we can't continuously compare ourselves to other people when we got our own stuff that we're working on, or that's who we are, right? Yeah.
No, absolutely. And the whole idea of the comparison too. Yeah. And it's so easy to do now. It's just so easy to do. We have like unlimited access to what we think we know of other people's lives on social media, especially, right? And it's not serving us. So I definitely think a part of this and a part of the work that we need to do is editing our environments and being very cognizant of what are energy givers and energy takers. Because again, thinking like, oh, what is this girl talking about? This woo-woo stuff. No, like if you are letting like this girl on social media, her stories making you upset, making you constantly compare yourself, think about that energy taking, think about that negative impact that it has on you. And when you have that negative impact on yourself and you're feeling crappy about yourself, what do you often turn to? Maybe it's food, maybe it's other self-sabotaging behaviors, negative self-talk. So it's so important to understand not just what's going on inside our bodies, but what's going on in our external bubble and world that is then therefore impacting us biologically on an emotional level as well. Yeah,
it's so true. And the thing is, when we are sitting in this constant space of negativity, then, it's a beautiful thing about having your phone, which is also your camera, is when a call comes in, it stops the camera. Anyway, but the constant negativity, when you're taking in negativity, you're putting out negativity, and you're going to get more negativity. You know, and it's just that's energy, right? And I say this because, you know, going back to the woo woo is not woo woo because it's energy, it's God created. This is how it is. You know, you put out. You take in what you put out, and it just kind of keeps going. which is why, you know, when I say gratitude can change the world, I truly believe that's the case, because if we're in a negative state, we're not being grateful. And that's very simple, right? It's very simplistic to say that, but being grateful puts you in that more positive state, which is why I like to start the show with that, and helps us to start to get rid of, negate, stop the negativity cycle. So and creating an awareness around those things, creating what is it that's creating the negativity in your life. And sometimes it's hard to eliminate that negativity, right? If you have a negative relationship that's creating stress and problems, which will manifest physically. If you have, you know, a negative relationship with food, if you have, you know, we can go down the list of things that can continue that cycle of negativity, and we've got to find the tools, the people who know the tools to stop that cycle of negativity. Yeah.
And I love how you say the tools too, because it's a toolkit, right? It's not just one thing. Or else we're playing whack-a-mole, like, oh, I do this, I do that, whatever.
Yeah.
And so we need to create the toolkit, and that's a big part of the work that's really important. Yes, the education piece, but it's building also like the self-coaching tools so that we can be able to be our own coaches and be able to identify our own triggers and how we can be able to be proactive and preventative for ourselves, for our physical and mental health.
I love that, because I mean that's always, I think for both of us, I'm sure, but anybody in our world where we are consulting, coaching, is the ultimate goal, and I say this to my clients all the time, the ultimate goal is for you to take what you and I the client, are working on, and this is a lifetime that we're working on. We are giving you tools for a lifetime. We're helping you understand your body. We're helping you to support your families and your kids and your grandkids for generations, not only with the tools, but of course with the healthy, you know, epigenetic makeup, right? But I always want people to hear me when I say that this is not for today. I mean, yes, of course it is. And today's the hard work, right? When we're, you know, 6 months down the road and you're like, and then through that process, the light bulbs go on, and the light bulbs go on, and it's my favorite part of what we do. Is somebody goes, guess what? I'm like, yes! It's so much fun. Yeah.
It's you know, one of those light bulbs and those connections, and when you have clients who come back to you, message you like a year later, being like, I have clients all the time. I was just one yesterday who's like, this happened at work, and it was just crazy to think about, you know, this experience, and my other colleagues are viewing food in this way, and I can't believe how far I've come. And sometimes it's kind of when you release your clients, right, and they're into the world, and they're realizing even more how much they have changed, because they're just like in the weeds every day, working with you. So that's such a fulfilling thing that I will again say I'm very grateful for, but it's also like having that support and guidance too, because it is really, really hard. And that was something that was really difficult for me to accept when I was on my journey, because I had done so much research on what I thought nutrition was, but all from a diet perspective. All like how many calories, you know, always on my fitness pal this. So I thought I knew everything about nutrition. And so I was so hesitant to accept and seek and accept help. I was so secretive about my issues. I thought, like, I was so headstrong. I was like, I can figure this out myself. I'm not gonna pay anyone else. I thought that was a sign of defeat. I thought that was like shameful, and which couldn't have been further from the truth. And it wasn't until that I really sought help. Now, it needed to be the right type of person, of right? That everything changed for me, and that's what the beauty of being able to, first of all, in our world, it's amazing. We have so many practitioners who have their specialties that you can really find someone that really speaks to you. But there's so much strength in realizing what your weaknesses are to then improve them. Because if you just aren't willing to dig deeper and be like, maybe I can improve on this, and it could be your nutrition, it could be your forehand in tennis, whatever it is, like you're not serving yourself, just beating yourself up, trying to fix it on your own. Like there's other people who have expertise in other areas, and admitting to yourself that like, maybe I could get some guidance. That is like the ultimate form of strength and confidence in yourself, that you are able to recognize where you can have improvement. I mean, that's growth mindset in a nutshell.
Absolutely, and I love that you put it that way. And I think for those who still may not get it, you know, the way that I see it, well, because I totally agree. There's so many things that I need help with, but as an entrepreneur, if I actually wore all the hats, and I wear a lot of damn hats, that, you know, I want to give more stuff away. But if I did my own bookkeeping, accounting, and all of these other things that I am able to give away, I wouldn't be able to do it, and I wouldn't be able to do it well.
Yeah.
Right there, I have my expertise, and it's certainly not bookkeeping. I learned that a long time ago.
Yeah.
I hate it, and so, but it doesn't help me in business if I'm not doing it. So I have to find the experts who love what they do, because they can help me and give me guidance.
Exactly.
And that's why we each all have our expertise. Is just for that reason. Let me focus in so I can help you here. But then we all build our teams, right? If it's your business team or your personal team or your health team or whatever it looks like for you, find the people who, they can be mentors, you may pay them, whatever, it might be family, whatever it is, but finding those people who are there, who you trust, who have your best interest at heart, and are going to guide you, because like you said, that is growth, that is strength. And then you're just going to continue to learn, and you're going to learn more and more from the experts. I mean, it's a beautiful thing.
And I love how you say building your teams, but not, because people think teams just has to be business, and it's not. As you said, your health team, your personal team, so who is in your corner to support you and guide you and push you, right? Like if you just have only yes people, you're not going to have growth.
No.
But maybe you need yes people in a certain area of your life to give you that confidence, and then you need other people that have a little bit more dose of reality. I mean, think about it, we all have those friends. We have the friend that we go to when we just want to feel good about ourselves. We have the friend we go to when we want like the real advice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
I'm for my friends, I'm the one, the no BS girl. They know that. So they're not gonna, if they're scared of what I'm gonna say, they're not gonna come to me.
Yeah. No, I love it, and that's
My
good.
clients know that too. Like, you know, whatever, I'm gonna be honest with them, because but that's the minute they know about me, and I'm upfront about that. Obviously, honesty in a kind way.
Yes.
With giving opportunity to how can we grow from here, right? But it's just really important that we think about also the areas, what is most important in our life, what are the categories that are most important, and then think about, okay, we have those categories. So maybe for you, it's improving your health. Maybe it is furthering your career. Maybe it is, you know, having a closer relationship with family. What it is, okay, so let's write down what are your priorities in life. And then I want you to then think about, where are you spending the most time? Because that's when we have a lot of eye openers. It's like, I say that I really want to prioritize my friendships, but I don't spend any time trying to do that. Or I say I really want to improve my physical fitness, I'm not like actually putting my step forward there. Now, maybe though you feel you're at capacity, so maybe it is time to invest in a trainer. Maybe, you know, you feel like you really want to improve your nutrition, you know, balance your, I hate to say balance your hormones because it's not balance, whatever, but we know. Balance your hormones. Maybe you want to have better energy. Maybe you want to shed that excess weight. But you realize, like, I'm not putting any energy towards meal prep. I'm not thinking about my food. I'm not working on my relationship with food. Okay, well, if you've been spinning in this for a while now, maybe it's time to invest in someone who can help to with you with those priorities and take away, clear the air, cut away the fluff, and make it easier for you.
Yeah, it's that accountability. I mean, and I think that all of us need it in some aspects of life.
Oh yeah.
Right, because all of us have, not all of us, many of us are at capacity, right? And it's
generalizations are always hard.
I know. But I think that, you know, I was watching something the other day. I think it was, I was at a meeting and it was a talk that they were giving. I can't remember, but that's what it was. But her comment was, it used to be that when people say, how are you, it would be fine. Now there's something to that in and of itself, are you actually fine? But people are like, oh, I'm fine. Now it's, how are you? And it's, I'm busy. That's what everybody's go-to is, and it's become a habit, I'm busy. And so, yeah, we're all busy, but, what does that mean? And how can we be less busy so we can give ourselves more time? Which kind of leads me into my next question.
Also, the busyness is like a badge of honor these days, which is like ridiculous in of itself, but that's another topic.
No, so true. It's so true. And I've actually I used to do the same thing, and I find myself now working to not say busy, because I think everybody knows that everybody's busy, but I want to, let's be more authentic for one, but if you put that out, it's again, you're putting it out there. Let's not just put it out there. It's like, I am working with lots of clients. I'm having lots of fun. I'm, working on this or whatever it is, and not just saying busy. I think what I would like to know from you, through your experience as well as how you work with clients. We have, I talk to people a lot. This is one of my favorite things to say because it's so true. But we have this relationship with food. It might be good, it might be bad. It is what it is. And so that's, the big overarching question is how do we fix the negative relationship? But prior to that, what I want people to hear is what's important is we strip away all of these thoughts about our emotions around food, right?
Yeah.
Stripping away those emotions takes food back to what it is. It is what gives us life, right? Yes, there's air, there's water, but food gives us, so that's why I named my company Taste Life, is literally that. And if we strip it down to that piece of it and understand that the nutrients in food are what communicates with our cells and our DNA.
We're into the granular level here.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's, in my mind, when I took that and really internalized it and understood it, that changed, that in and of itself for me started changing my own relationship with food. Seeing it as a tool, seeing it as communication, seeing it as my body, when it eats food that's good, healthy, clean food, it's like, I got this, let's go, I'm ready to do this. If I'm eating food that is, full of chemicals, full of toxins, that's not food, these things, your body is going to tell you, and it's going to start sending out those, those red flags. It's going to start sending out those signals. And what is that? It's pain, it's inflammation, it's brain fog, it's anxiety, it's depression, it's negative self-talk, it's disease, right? It's all of these things. So, again, my overarching question with all of that being said, because I just think it's one of my favorite things to talk about, of the many things that I love to talk about, but what do you do and what did you do for yourself, what do you do for your clients, that helps them to sort of see that, to change their relationship with food, if it is a negative relationship with food?
Yeah, so first of all, this is why I love doing private coaching or very small group coaching.
Yeah.
Because, like, for example, you are motivated by science, because that's the way your brain works.
Yeah.
But that's not how everyone's motivated. And I had this conversation with a client 2 days ago about she's doing all the things with nutrition. She will do, for certain foods, she'll do that. She'll put that in her routine. She'll do a certain fitness thing, whatever. But the self-care, though, working on her, it's not necessarily, her mindset work is pretty good, but it's more like the self-care, winding down, working on her cortisol. She is not doing too well in that regard. Yeah. She's a go person. So we needed to reframe, because she's a high achiever and she's fueled and motivated by being productive. So we had to reframe how, taking that time, whether it's that meditation, whether it's journaling, whether it's putting her legs up the wall to activate that parasympathetic nervous system. We had to reframe, and I had to explain to her how those activities are productive. So explaining the connection of that with cortisol, how that cortisol is negatively affecting her body, and how, therefore, taking these times for breath are productive. So it's really understanding we need to recognize how we are motivated.
Yeah.
What motivates you?
Mm-hmm.
And it needs to be both, you need intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. So extrinsic motivation is a lot of like when people are telling us that we look vibrant, that we look good, whatever, we don't want to just rely on that. We need to focus more on the intrinsic. So what is the deep root that allows you to feel motivated, to feel good in your own body, to feel accomplished? And that's going to be different for everyone. And we need to have it be more than just a number on a scale. We need to have it be something that's greater than that, and then be able to work with that to work on individual habits and goals for ourselves. And again, that's going to be highly individualized.
Yeah.
So when women come to me, and sometimes they're more hesitant to do some of the work in terms of whether that's the nutrition work, whether that's the mindset work, a lot of it is then kind of going back to why are you here in the first place, and how these individual practices can connect to that, and then that makes everything more purposeful and more meaningful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. And it goes back again to really working with people as the person who they are. You know, the thing that frustrates me so much about social media, which then continues to bring so much confusion about food and health and mindset and that kind of thing, is everything's so generalized down to lab numbers, right? Lab ranges are all general lab ranges, and they're certainly not optimal lab ranges. And so people all the time, you know, and sorry, it's a little of a squirrel moment, but they're like, you know, I've had my labs done, which are always super minimal, and you know, the doctor says they're all fine. I'm like, are they? And are they optimal? And did we actually look at everything that needs to be looked at, which almost never happens.
Oh, absolutely. The difference between, like, you know, functional versus optimal is huge.
Yeah.
With especially labs, but also it's like I find that people are either like so obsessed, can be like really obsessed with labs to the point where sometimes people just like want the diagnosis. For example, something that's really something happening a lot is like PCOS, and it's very legit, PCOS. But at the end of the day, PCOS has such a range in terms of like, it's not like, oh, this range of hormones means you have PCOS, right? There's so many different symptoms. There are so many different rated, whatever. So yes, the hormone panel can be, and I agree with you, like it's not extensive enough. And so when people ask, like, provide them, like, why don't you ask for these things from your doctor? But the thing is that, or your practitioner, but the thing is that, yes, it's great insight, but that just like getting the diagnosis, that doesn't actually solve it. So we need to think about, take a step back here instead of getting in the weeds there, and focus on like, what are these foundational nutritional practices that we need to work on, because a lot of that is going to be helpful for regardless of the diagnosis. And we though are been trained within the medical system that we have, it's like we don't really do things until we get the diagnosis for something, and then the diagnosis, like, what can we take? A lot of times it's medication. Right. And medication can play a crucial role in, you know, obviously there's so many things that as humans we work with and have to deal with. But if we really want to be truly healthy, we need to first work on the preventative care, and then, you know, if we get to that point where we do have that diagnosis, how can we have the integrative care? How can we be able to work in a holistic manner to achieve our healthiest selves and our goals?
Yeah, we look for the diagnosis and then we take it on as who we are. I'm a diagnosis. And that's what I would want, is to separate from a diagnosis, because you are not your diagnosis, right? And the thing too that a lot of people, when they come to me, you know, I certainly, you know, we don't diagnose, but we can look at labs all the time, and it may find us and lead us to something. But I'll also say, this may not be what is your typical diagnosis, but there's certainly dysfunction. We can see the dysfunction through whatever labs that we're doing. We see the dysfunction, and we address the root cause of dysfunction. Doesn't have to have a pretty name or a scary name or a name. There's dysfunction. Let's get to it and start working on it. And it is lifestyle, it is mindset, it's food, it's sleep, it's stress reduction. This is why we call it holistic or functional or, you know, whatever term you want to use right now, because it's not about compartmentalizing, you know, and compartmentalizing has a place, right? That's how conventional medicine works. It compartmentalizes, people have their specialties. Sometimes there are times when that's what we need. But the unfortunate part of that is often when we compartmentalize, we're not looking at the downstream effects of what we're doing when all we're doing is looking at this one part of the body, which does not operate in a vacuum. It affects everything. It affects, you know, your ears affect your toes, right? I mean, everything is fully connected. And so it's just not about the diagnosis. I don't want to say stop searching, just start searching for help. Start searching for understanding, and finding people who can help you to understand. And again, going back to it, that's really what I want more than anything, is for people to understand their bodies and the why behind their bodies and why it's working the way that it's working, you know? Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's like, it's so funny because it's not funny, but you know, when we want to know what's wrong with us, and but it's like there's no winning there, because you either then get the diagnosis like, oh, I guess it's legit, like I'm not crazy, or you don't get it but you still don't feel good.
Yeah.
So I also want to say though that it's important, and I especially think it's important for women, because women in the medical system are often not seen and heard. I mean, just knowing the studies and how, for example, for dosages and for medication, and how most studies in medical field are done on men, and specifically white men. And so whether, you know, you're a minority or a woman or both, how that affects you and your health and your health care. But in addition, like it's just very important that you don't let other people tell you there's nothing wrong with you if you know there's something wrong with you.
Yes.
So seeking care that supports you and is willing to listen to you is so important. Being an advocate for yourself in the system is so important, because there are really great people out there to help you, but it may not be the easiest thing in finding them, but you deserve and you're worthy of finding the people that are there to listen to you and support you and get you to the health that you deserve.
Yeah. I'm so glad you said that, because it is about, it's about, you know, it's about holding other people accountable, and it's about being accountable, being an advocate. That's what I was trying. I was like, where's my word? But you're advocate, because I hear that constantly, and I'm sure you hear it too. But people are like, nobody can figure out what's going on with me, and people are, you know, they want to throw antidepressants at me. They want to throw, heartburn medications at me. They want to throw all these things. It doesn't work, and I'm still feeling like trash, and I don't know what to do. And you know, it's so frustrating to hear people say they're just throwing me off, they're pushing me to the side, they're telling me that I'm depressed, they're telling me, you know, that it's all in my head, and I hear this constantly, and it's heartbreaking. And you're absolutely right. More times than not, was probably 99% of the time, it's not in your head. I mean, we can have some mental emotional disorders.
But even if it is, that's legitimate too.
Well, yeah, there you go. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, find the people who are there to support you without a doubt. Yeah, it's such a great point. I do want to talk about your pregnancy stuff, because
Yeah, well, ask away.
Yeah.
Definitely here.
Yeah. So I personally have, like I said, I fell in love with this, you know, many years ago, and finally to the point to where, you know, I'm sharing my program and talking to people about, you know, the importance of preparing today, right? Because I think so often, and we know things happen, it's just the way that it goes, but so often we don't think about it. We think, okay, we're just going to get together and it's going to happen, and that's what happens. And so either it doesn't happen, or, you know, there are these negative things that can happen. And it's so important to understand that what we do prior to conception plays a huge role in conception, in pregnancy, in delivery.
And for both parties, may I add, it's
absolutely.
not just on women.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. But then on to the delivery itself, the health of that child during pregnancy, after birth, as it grows, and then for, you know, what the data shows is 7 generations. 7 generations is the impact that we can have if we're growing babies.
Yeah.
It's the most beautiful thing, I think, in the world to understand the impact that each individual person who is having children, and couple, you can create a healthy future.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to me. It's up to you. It's fascinating. So I'll stop there. I just love it so much. It's my favorite thing in the world. But yeah, let's talk about what you're doing.
Yeah. So I also love how you frame that of it's like you didn't say in the outright like this, but it's like you get to be able to have that impact.
Yes.
And how cool is that?
Yes.
Versus, oh my God,
Yes.
I have to. No, you get to. So I work with women in general who are ready to get out of the diet cycle, but they still have health and wellness goals. They want to feel normal with food, stop obsessing, stop stressing, but they don't also want to just be, I don't care anymore. No, they care, but they don't know how to care in a way that allows them to still feel balanced and happy and enjoy their life. And so this is then, as I then went through my pregnancy journey, and I actually worked with before I got pregnant, I worked with a pre and postnatal fitness specialist, and we created a course that helps you throughout your stages of pregnancy with fitness and nutrition. So that is our Bump to Baby program, and it is an incredible program that's self-paced for you and for your journey, to be able to learn more about your body and support your body in pregnancy. And what's really interesting that I learned through the process, because I also work with private clients who are pregnant, who are postpartum, and obviously those goals shift, but they all have the same overarching needs, obviously nourish our body and feel our best. The thing is that there's a lot of focus on the health of the baby, but not the health of the mother necessarily during pregnancy, especially when it comes to, there's a lot of emphasis on breastfeeding, which is great, obviously supporting nutrition for your baby, but there's not, they don't focus on what are you eating during those 10 months and how is that affecting your baby. Not in the traditional medical system. I remember getting a pamphlet from an old OBGYN when I got pregnant, and it was like, don't have high-fat dairy because that has too much calories. That was the nutrition advice. And they knew I was a nutritionist, and they're like, actually, we may need to update this. Maybe we could ask you to help us. I was like, honestly, I should. But anyways, and this was in a practice in San Francisco, whatever. I ended up switching to a different place anyway, with a midwife and OBGYN team, which was really fit for my personal needs and goals.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, it's really important that, and I had honestly an incredible recovery postpartum, and it has to do with the fact of how I took care of my body during pregnancy. And I obviously understand there's certain extenuating circumstances with certain women, and I don't mean to say you didn't treat your body well, and that's why, because absolutely not. Please do not take that from this conversation. But you can set yourself up in a much better way by how you treat your body during pregnancy. And that's going to help you, your mental health, your physical health, your baby's mental and physical health, your partner, mental and physical health as well. And if we aren't taking care of ourselves properly during pregnancy, how are we going to feel up to the task to be parents? It's very difficult. And I just think about even how I worked on my proper core strength and my nutrition during pregnancy, and thinking about how lifting my child, just in and out of the crib, these simple things, or having the energy to be able to go get through those, early morning or middle of the night breastfeeding sessions. I mean, obviously I was tired, especially to start out, but I still at least knew the nutrition that wasn't going to make me feel even more tired. And so we are, there also, I will say, and just from a mental perspective, there's so much attention to you in general when you're pregnant, and it's fun, and everyone's like, what, all this attention, and then at the flip of a switch, it's not about you, it's about your baby, which is incredible. Obviously we want there for the baby, but it's you need to be prepared for that, because the world goes from switch oh, you're pregnant, how many weeks are you, whatever, to your baby and nothing about you. And you need to be, as I said, physically, emotionally, mentally prepared for that. And so being able to provide women with the resources so that they can put their body in the best place is so key, and is something that is it's all that's really the focus is on like, oh, you're pregnant, like eat whatever you want, which of course we want to be able to have enough food freedom and be able to enjoy treats and whatnot. And that's an important part of being able to have an experience. But first of all, you shouldn't just be getting your emotional, as we talked about earlier, your emotional sweetness in life just from food. We want to make sure that you're having better coping mechanisms so that when you are like working on your overall health, that you don't feel like food is the only thing that is going to make you feel better. But then also, we want to prevent this whole idea of this bounce back culture that's really freaking toxic. This idea that in X amount of weeks or X amount of months, this is when your body should look like it should have, your weight on the scale. Like, no, absolutely not. So we need to find this like medium, right? And that's what I feel so missing. Either this bounce back toxic culture that's not good for your mental, physical, overall health, isn't going to set you up. Also, if you want to get pregnant again, is not going to set you up well for that in the future. But also just in general, your hormones, longevity, your energy, it's not going to set you up well. But then also, we don't want to get into the place where, I guess I'm a mom now. I guess I just don't care about my body. I guess it's just about my kid. And I'm just going to resort to feeling like crap for the rest of my life because it's just about my kid. No, there's a middle ground here. And the middle ground looks different for everyone. And so, you know, this program is to help support people, but also in terms of with my private coaching, what I do on an individual level to customize programs to support women, because we're just so lacking in that support and that guidance that is going to be beneficial. You know, as I said, like it's either so much the focus is either just you or just your baby, and we really need to find an approach, which is what I provide to integrate the two.
Yeah, yeah, I love that so much, and you know, it is when. I was trying to think of what you said. You were talking about how I'm just going to continue to feel like crap because now it's all about the baby. Well, how, you know, we have to focus on ourselves in order to take care of the family.
Yes.
There has to, I mean, we can't forget that. I can't forget about me, because if I can't do my part, then it puts a burden on everybody else, right? And I have to be able to take care of the kids or the family or the whatever. For me, it's the dogs and the husband.
Exactly.
But so it's so important, and you want to feel good, because it goes back to, you know, how I always start the show. We have so much to do in this big, beautiful life. We got to feel good to do it, and that takes focus on me, right? It's so important. And earlier you had said that you weren't, you know, which is a good thing, but you had said you're not laying blame on anybody when it comes to, you know, some of these negative outcomes that can happen. The way that I view it is taking the power back. You know, what I see so often in any type of client is they feel like their power has been taken away. The medical system is taken away. The diagnosis is taken away. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to, you know, do this. And, you know, it is taking responsibility and taking accountability to do the things that we can do to best prep for health, prep for pregnancy, prep for birth, prep for the future. These are the things that give us power. And it's beautiful, and it's knowledge is power, right? So understanding your health, understanding your labs, doing the labs, you know, that's power. Even if it's scary, you know, things can come back, you're like, holy smokes. It's still power, because now you know what to do, or now you know how to find somebody who can help you with it. So that's what I want people to hear is, you have the power. I have the power. We have the power in so many more ways than I think many of us believe, right? There are certainly some things that are out of our control, without a doubt, but we have an amazing amount of power, and that's what I want people to take away, is just know that.
Yeah, and be empowered with your choices.
Yes.
And you don't have to know everything to be empowered. That's part of that power. It's like as we kind of talked about earlier, recognizing where you have your gaps, and that you have the power to fill them, whether that's educating yourself, whether that's hiring, you know, like there's many options for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as always, this always goes way faster than I want it to. But
I know, I just looked and I realized it is 2 minutes past the hour. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. All good. It's the beautiful thing about internet radio. We can kind of make it what we want.
Yeah, love it.
But I'm super grateful for you coming on. This has been a really fun, interesting, and fascinating conversation. I love it. I love what you're doing, of course.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell everybody where they can find you.
Absolutely. So I'd say the place that I'm most active in terms of social media would be Instagram. So definitely check me out. I'm Your Case for Wellness on Instagram, and send me a DM. Would love to chat. You can also, I don't know if you'll have like show notes here, or you can message me, but I can give your audience a nutrition bundle, which has my video of my top nutrition tips and my Stop Overeating workbook, which can be really helpful.
Love it.
And yeah, I got back from maternity leave, so I'm currently actually accepting new clients. So if you're interested in that, you can send me a message, but also just so happy to connect in any way.
Yeah. I mean, it's the beautiful thing about people like you and this world is, I think our ultimate goal is just to be a resource and to be
absolutely
guide in any way that we can. So, so that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I'm Nikki Burnett. We are Taste Life Nutrition Radio and Podcast, streaming live on KUHSdenver.com, the #1 internet radio station, I think, in all the world. We'll just take it. I actually think we're #3, but we'll take #1 because I think so. But anyway, so you find us here every Thursday, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. And join us. And, I will put out there again for those who are interested, Soulful Conception is my heart, right? This is really giving people the power and awareness around, what they can do to provide their body's health prior to pregnancy, prior to conception. Let's do our best to not have to deal with the struggle that can happen prior to conception, right? Or during conception. Let's just try to mitigate that to the best of our ability, and we can. I think the stat is 5 lifestyle changes can increase chances of conception like by 80%. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's the beautiful thing about it, but I also truly believe in the power that we have to create health for the future, and I think it's why I'm here, right? So anyway, yeah, Taste Life Nutrition is the website. It's everywhere. All of the stuff, all the social media. So reach out if you have questions. I also am here to be a resource. I have a free assessment on the website that you can reach out to me, and we'll chat with you about it, and we'll see what we can do to help. Or if I need to refer you to someone, I have lots of great people who I can refer to. So anyway, thank you, everybody. See us again here in a week. Thank you, Casey. This was really
Thank
so
you
fun.
for
I
having
appreciate
me.
it. Okay. Appreciate you.
Bye.
Feel free to stay on with me if you have a second. Okay. 1 second.